everybody. Welcome to Social Issues Time. So, we're back. So, Social Issues Time is a production of Womanars, and we're really excited to come back again this year and do some more shows all centered on women's issues. So, Gett'n is actually the one that came up with the idea. So, Gett'n, tell people a little bit about why you created, or where the ideas stem from.
You know, just with all the negativity going on, you know, I feel like women and girls are a target of today. We're just having to face a number of issues in life. And I thought this would be a great platform for women of all ages and diversities and backgrounds to come together and talk about, you know, certain issues in this multicultural society and be open about it without any sort of hesitation or fear.
Yeah. So we're going to be sharing a little bit today about what we've been doing this past year to get caught up on each of us, on our lives, and also to talk a little bit about the political situation that's happening here in the U.S. I know a lot of people outside of the U.S. have concerns about what's happening, and I mean, obviously it's creating a lot of conversation and division, controversy, yeah. So we're going to be discussing that issue in the first half, and then we're going to also be doing some other stuff. But anyway, that's going to be the topic of conversation. If you want to chime in, please feel free to do so. Ask us questions, give us any, what is it? Feedback, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah, we like constructive feedback. Any negative comments that you post will be deleted and you'll be blocked from the Womanars page. So that's one thing that I feel strongly about. Let's put it that way.
Rightfully so. We've got so much of that already going around in the world. I mean, why continue to perpetuate that? So.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's my turn.
Yes, you're the leader.
Oh my goodness, when did that happen?
He told I'm just kidding.
Francois is the most organized of all of us, so she's the leader.
And today, that is not so. So we're going to talk about updates, right? And what we've been doing, because you all have been doing a whole lot.
And so have you, madam.
Yeah, so it's been busy. So the last time we filmed was, when was it?
Last August.
Yeah, it's in August.
Yeah, so a lot has been going on since that time. I went to South by Southwest and did a book signing, which was really cool. And to have that many people in a space was unbelievable. So I enjoyed that. I left my job, which we kind of talked about, and started a new position, which has been really different. And I love the people I'm working with, miss the folks that I worked with. I'm teaching now at UNT Dallas. And so I'll be doing a class, a 5-week class in their master's level program. So it's just been busy keeping up with new job. And then my daughter has been doing incredible. I know she doesn't want me to put her on the spot, but she's been doing incredible grades. We're out of this world. Great PSAT scores, been going to summer camp at Columbia and then going to SCAD. And so it's just been busy with good stuff. And I'm just excited to see what the future is going to hold. So you two have been doing some amazing things. You go, girl. Yeah. What is that about? I'm so excited about that.
So
I know my mom. I was talking to my mom the other day, and she's like, she says, "What is that? You go, girl." She says, "I love it." She says, "But what exactly is it?"
Right. So You Go Girl is a wearable T-shirt. It's a line of inspirational T-shirts, that encourage women and girls to go out there and follow your dreams to the fullest. Basically, letting them know you go, girl, with whatever you do. So we'll be launching here in September. We're going to have a modeling shoot and everything. So as a matter of fact, today we got in touch with the Frida Kahlo Foundation to see if we can get a license from them to use her image. So we're really, really excited about this line. This is like a little dream come true. This idea came to me like at 2 a.m. in the morning because my mind doesn't shut off. Yeah. So wanted to follow through. So that's one big thing that's happening in my life. And I also have a boyfriend now. Yay! We met around my birthday. So he's an engineer, works for Microsoft. So we'll see how it goes. It's been about 5 months. So yeah. And my parents are already like, so when are you getting married? You know, it's been 5 months, slow your roll, you know? Slow your roll, give it a... So lots of good things happening. And like you, I'm looking very forward to the future.
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know, I mean, what's the name of your book, Francois?
So the second one, I gotta do better at that. The second one is Ready for a Revolution. Well, yeah, it's Ready for a Revolution, 30 Days to Jolt Your Life. And it's just a book based on me working with women and a series of devotionals to kind of get them going with, you know, where they want to be and what purpose looks like. So, and the first one was really another workbook. I like making people think. So it's been fun watching the response of women going, this really helped, when I was thinking, it's just something I just kind of did. And so it's been really neat to watch the response and feedback to both of them.
And I just have to let everyone know, I am sitting here amongst two of my favorite Shiros, Tilde and Francois.
It's a love fest.
Yeah, I love it. So, your turn. What's been going on with you?
Well, I also want to say, because you know I have to plug you guys because you don't do it yourself for yourself, but tell people the website.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So it's you and then go, GAU, then girl, GRRL.com. So don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook and check out our website. And we will be launching here in the fall.
Yeah, and so aside from that, Gothamy also has her own company called Color Me Safe. And tell people a little bit about what that entails.
So Color Me Safe is a family crisis management consulting firm. God, that's like long. That specializes in providing guidance and solutions in child welfare issues. So we deal with attorneys, medical professionals, therapists, school counselors, and other nonprofits that directly deal with families and children.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, and I wanted to make sure and get that in because that's it's important work.
It is.
And so the more exposure that we can provide for you, the more help to kids. It's awesome.
And so what have you been up to? TEDx women, traveling around.
Well,
the
you know,
universe.
I've been traveling a lot and just meeting, you know, part of the whole reason that I travel is to meet potential instructors or coaches for Womanars or partnerships, you know, that we want to have. And at the end of last year or after we got done filming, I took that 45-day journey to 6 countries, 11 cities. And just, it was amazing. I mean, it was a dream come true for me. And after that, you know, I ended up going back to Europe after that 45-day trip and going to my first TEDx workshop and TED conference, TED Global Conference in Geneva, which was as a collaborator, to be in a room with another almost 500 collaborators at that level, you know, at that global level, that are so open-hearted and open-minded and come with open arms, you know, with such a giving spirit. It was just so inspirational for me to be in that sort of environment for, you know, 3-4 days, whatever it was. It was just really powerful. And then also getting to visit places like the United Nations. I visited both the United Nations in Geneva and in New York, you know, since we've last met, and to be able to see where change really happens, you know, and also to see some of the setbacks and the things that aren't being done, because we have to be honest, right? I mean, this amazing institution was set in place to keep wars from happening. And never before has there been more wars in our time than at this point in history. So it's really interesting also to see what was most interesting about the United Nations is the role that women haven't played but are now beginning to play. So the hope is there that more positive change will be created, you know. Aside from that, you know, I got the license and authorization from TED again to do TEDx Turtle Creek Women. So that's in motion, and we're going to be having that event here in Dallas. We have yet to find a space, but I know Francois is like, You know, we received the speaker applications. The deadline was July 1st, and we're really excited. I love the speaker applications that I've seen so far because they're unique, and our theme is outside the lines. So it's, you know, I really stress the fact that I wanted talks that are centered on that theme. And what are you doing that's outside, you know, that's changing lives or having an impact that maybe business is being done in a revolutionary way that we haven't thought of before, you know. So things like that. And then, of course, the launch of Womanars here in the next week or so will be huge. I mean, that's my baby, and that's what I'm really excited about. You both have been with me through the trials and tribulations of actually bringing that to life, and it's just amazing. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. Then in August, we're planning a virtual conference. So we have 15 amazing speakers that we're bringing together for a week, and there'll be 3 classes each day for that week. And it's actually right around my birthday, which is a double celebration to make
This
that
is wonderful. So many great things happening.
Yeah.
So
And who knows what
excited.
else God has in store for us, right? I mean, but it's definitely, it's amazing to watch it all come to life.
You know, when you were talking though, it made me, you both know I've been on this thing about disconnection. And it made me think about when you were talking about the travel piece and how connected you felt to the people at TED, you know, and having the experiences, or you and your work, and how connected you feel. It's interesting to see the world that we live in, because there's so many people who are not connected, whether to themselves or to a greater community or to a cause. And I think a lot of what we're seeing is people having the lack of community and the lack of connection. That's been interesting.
Do you think we lack that connection because we're afraid of actually being connected and what might come out of it?
Yeah, because it's interesting to me to look at social media. And I was having this conversation earlier about sometimes it's so easy for people to use social media as a tool to, you know, either as a platform, or it becomes this place where we pick at people. And I think we've lost the art of conversation, because I think when people are in a room, some powerful things can happen. Yesterday, I had the blessing of being with these people. You know, it was the 4th, and we had an event, and I was in this trailer with 3 people I'd never met before. And when people started telling their stories, and from first observation, you're looking at folks going, oh, you look nice, but you know what I mean? Yeah. You're looking at people and making judgments, and people started sharing these powerful stories. And I thought, what would happen if people had the space to do that instead of making the judgments that we do about each other? And it just, for me, it reaffirmed the power of having those kinds of connections, and why you see some of the political rhetoric that we have, because it is fear-based, because it's easier to throw out something, you know, and not test it, because that's comfortable.
You know, it's amazing, because even on social media, the rhetoric that's happening, all that negativity that's on social media, number 1, I'm getting sick of it. Number 2, I've deleted so many people from my friend list. Yes, I'm saying that out in public. I'm saying it because I'm just getting tired, and it indirectly, it affects you, and affects your mind, affects your aura, you know?
Well, I just wonder why people won't go directly to people. That is just, and I guess for me, being a person of faith, there's a scripture that talks about if you have a problem with your brother, you go directly to them. And I understand everybody can't go to Trump or Hillary and have those conversations, but how do you begin to start, you know, engaging people? And especially when people are right there with you. I don't understand why we have become, in a sense, cowards of having some of the real tough conversations. So it's easy for me to blast you online, but I'm not willing to pick up a phone and have a conversation with you and talk to you and meet you and go, okay, let's agree to disagree. And I think that there's the art of having that kind of connection that's totally out the window now. And it's almost, in my mind, it's not almost, it is acceptable to do that. And I don't know how the norm changed or when.
Well, I think, you know, when I was in Banff this past week, one of the workshops was on big data and taking a look at social media in particular, you know, and it was really fascinating to see the disconnect, because, and I think more than ever we have to be more careful about not only being more compassionate and empathetic about other people's situation, but also separating ourselves and how we segregate ourselves from the rest of humanity. Because in the big data, it showed like circles in red and blue for different thoughts, right? So everybody tends to go to if you're red, you tend to like and follow people that think like you or act like you. So you stay isolated from everybody else in blue who thinks differently from you, right? And so that in itself creates, a lack of education, a lack of empathy, a lack of compassion, because you're not actually living or seeing those other circles. So here we are in our own little circle, not getting out into, like, you work with South Dallas. And how often does that happen to where people come in saying that we have a solution and they've never spent a lick of time with these people?
No. Or been there very short periods of time and have all the answers of what should be done, and not recognizing the historical baggage that has come along. And you can't erase that and go get over it. Yeah. But it is amazing to me how people do that, and they won't have the simple conversation. It makes me think about in social capital, there are these two terms of bonding and bridging. And not to be so academic, but what we're finding is a lot of people are comfortable with the bonding, exactly what you said with the red. It's easy to be with everybody like us, but you're sharing the same stale information that doesn't move. How do you begin to do this bridging piece where you're connecting to people that are very different than you? Because that's when the information exchange and the resources begin to happen. And I'm just looking at people going, if we want change, we got to get outside of the boxes that we're in and the lines that we're in. Oops. It's okay. Okay.
What was that? The mic box?
I hope that's what it was, and it wasn't like an organ or something. I'm like, oh, my spleen is on the floor. I'm sorry. Okay, back to serious. I'm like,
So the question is, why are we so afraid of having such conversations? What is holding people back from having these simple conversations? And yes, they are simple. They are simple. You just have to step over, open the door, step in, and then start talking.
it's connection though to self.
Yeah.
So if I'm not comfortable with how I think and my viewpoint, and it may not be solid, it's going to be very hard for me to be confronted with people who have different viewpoints. I see that with religion, which I know a lot of people don't want to have those conversations. But when you are comfortable in your belief system, in my opinion, you're comfortable in others. You don't have this ideal of, I got to go in and hurt everybody because you don't agree with me. Because if you really believed what you say you believe, you know your stuff is solid. Yeah. So why do you have to go around and hurt other people? Exactly. Maybe there's some question about either the religion, sexuality, all of those things. You know, for me, it's like when there's a level of comfort and you know what you know, then I'm comfortable with you being who you are. And I don't have to agree with you, but I'm comfortable in my stuff.
And having that open conversation.
So to me, it's the disconnection piece that they're at the core of many of us. We spend so much time following purposes of others that we don't take the time to really figure out who we are and what our intention and purpose is on the planet. So when I'm not clear on mine and I see you're clear on yours, then we're going to have a problem because of my own insecurity.
Well, and trying to change people's minds, I think, is part of that problem too, right? And it goes back to exactly what you said, is that being okay and being so confident in my own way of thinking, in my own belief system, in my value system, that it doesn't matter what you say. You know, I mean, I'm not offended. I'm simply listening to another point of view, and I'm open to changing my perspective.
And that's the key.
That's where the open-mindedness comes from. If you're secure with yourself, like you said, and you're confident in what you say, then you're going to be willing to understand and learn from others.
And see that there's a compliment more than likely. I mean, we have really more in common than we do different. And it's not to minimize the differences, because I do think that there's a group who wants everybody to sing Kumbaya and everything's good and fine. And that's fun for about 5 minutes. Realistically, we have to be aware that there's going to be difference. We have to agree to disagree, and that's not failure. I think as a society, we are uncomfortable with failure. I was doing a grant review, and this was so mind-blowing, because this group walked in and said, we messed up. We really thought we had it together. And I'm thinking, yes. finally somebody is being honest and saying, we didn't do what we thought was going to happen. These were some of the things we expected, but the variables were so different. And I thought it was great. Other people thought, oh my God, this is the worst thing. What's going on with this group? And mine is, how do we embrace when we mess up and use it as an opportunity to learn from it, whether it's individually or right now in the midst of what's going on in our society? How do we create space for reflection and to talk about when you messed up?
Well, you take the Brexit, right?
Brexit,
and the
yes.
lesson that they're learning right now, because if you look at that was a huge topic at the TED Global event or at the TED Summit event this past week, because it had just happened, and to me, people were calling those that had voted for the exit uneducated. And I found that it irritated me. It was very judgmental. And I know we tend to call people that are for Trump uneducated or, but it's really not, to me, it's not about them not being educated. And if it is, what did you do to educate people? About the whole thing. And so it was really interesting to watch it as a U.S. citizen, and watching Britain kind of now be the center of attention of the political recklessness that's out there right now. But it was really interesting to me because the major cities, like London and stuff, were wanting to stay, and the young people were wanting to stay. But it was the rural areas.
Similar to that.
Yeah, exactly. It's similar to what's happening here in the U.S. And I really think it's not so much that they're uneducated. They are feeling pain, right? Yeah. And they're not feeling heard.
Right.
So they are gravitating toward somebody who is expressing the fear.
Well, and that's what a lot of it's been based in. It's fear-based.
So what do you do then? They've learned their lesson. Obviously. Yeah. So what can we do here in the U.S. now? Because we're facing sort of the same thing. In one retrospect, I think for us, the lesser of two evils, so to speak. As far as I see it. But they're both very imperfect individuals. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
So how can we, as a community, and let's say here in Dallas, actually reach out to people and help each other see the other side? Like, how can I go into South Dallas, and realize what they're feeling and experiencing?
Right.
But it's helping people recognize their own power. I think we look to leadership and people with titles and degrees to be the saviors of everything that happens, and they're not going to be.
No.
I think you should be wary of people who give solutions in one word.
Yeah.
And so that's a problem. When you're talking about Britain, one of the challenges there were all these layers to what was going on, issues of race and people feeling marginalized because of jobs, and all these different things got masked. And people weren't being very honest about how they were feeling.
Yeah.
And so I think we have a society that is the same thing, where people are not being honest about how they feel. People don't look at their own ownership in situations, so it's easy to blame other people and say it's your fault that we're in the mess that we're in, instead of looking at, okay, maybe there's some historical things that contributed to the situation that we're in, and people have to recognize that there's systems that play that take time. It's not easy to dismantle those things, but you either have to be a part of the solution or the problem. And either you do something or you don't. Either way, you're contributing.
It's internal, external, but we have to find a solution for it. Rather than sitting there talking about it and complaining about it, we have to discuss solutions. We have to have open conversation.
What are some things that we as individuals can do, though? Not go out and do like the community, but simple things that we can begin to do to bridge that gap that we're talking about.
City. People make these assumptions about what goes on in community and not recognize what's there. Map your assets and know what's in your community. Know what's going on with your local government. They can't solve everything, but people come up with these ideas that I sit back sometimes and I'm going, that's not going to work, because they don't understand. And so one of the first steps is educating yourself about what goes on in local government. You can't change at a national level, and that's the piece that frustrates me, is folks will vote for the president, and then they don't vote for any of the other areas and wonder why they're getting some of the issues that are coming up in community because you didn't stay consistent throughout the process. So I think it's the issue of education. I think it's being consistent. And I think it's having the conversations and beginning to ask the hard questions of people that may not think the way that you do.
Yeah.
I agree. I totally agree. I think sometimes, what's the word, short term is acute, right? We treat some of these situations acutely, and we have to understand, and first of all, we have to accept there's a problem. And then we have to face it, and then we have to come up with a solution. But not one person, we have to come together as a community and realize this is happening. And what are we gonna do to fix it? And help others understand it as well.
Yeah.
And that you inherit some of this
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, a lot of things I'm looking at now, I wasn't here in the 60s, but I'm inheriting a lot of decisions that people made in the 60s and 50s and before that. And I think it's being aware of, there's a baggage. It takes time to unpack that stuff. I think the mistake we make in society is we go, oh yeah, we see it and we keep on going. And we don't take the time to unpack and recognize that there's trauma that people carry with them for generations.
Right.
And that takes time to heal. But we have to be willing to allow people to heal.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Well, is there anything else?
I feel so connected to you both.
I want to sing a song.
I
Do you want
do
to break
too.
out a song?
Can we song?
Let's break out a song.
Stop. Just stop.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I think, we always want to leave the show with a call to action. And I think those are great calls to action that we can individually implement into our lives and encourage you guys to do the same thing, because it is a really important time in our lives and for the lives of generations to come as well. It's going to make a huge difference. So advise you and encourage you to get out there and just mix it up with people that you normally wouldn't mix it up with and see what happens.
Right.
Because every action has a reaction.
Yeah. And be responsible. I mean, this is something, like you said, that we're leaving to future generations. We owe it to them to make it better.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.